Consider the sheer efficiency of this creature. It carries its entire home and its entire defense system directly on its back. By the end of this lesson, you will have a complete, exam-ready framework for summarizing William Cowper's The Snail with full marks. To get started, open your textbook to the poem and have your classwork notebook and a pen ready for your notes. Success in your English exam requires a shift in perspective. We need to look past the literal garden creature to see the specific human boundaries Cowper is describing. William Cowper was a prominent 18th century poet whose work often centered on the deep, quiet observations of the natural world. Although we read it in English today, this poem is actually an English translation of a Latin work called Limax, written by Cowper's own teacher, Vincent Bourne. Make sure to note this origin down. It tells us that the poem is a deliberate, calculated study of character rather than a casual observation. This classical foundation allows Cowper to use the snail as a tool for teaching a much larger lesson about how we conduct our private lives. In stanza 1, Cowper notes how the snail sticks close to its environment, whether that's a leaf, fruit, or this stone wall, with absolutely no fear of falling. He uses the phrase house and all together to describe a creature that is physically inseparable from its dwelling. In stanza 2, we see how the snail handles a threat. At the first sign of weather or danger, it retreats into the shell for immediate safety. You should record 2 key vocabulary words from this section. Imminent means likely to happen soon, and betides means to befall or happen. These stanzas establish the shell as a fortress, representing the human need for a secure domestic refuge from the outside world. Stanza 3 describes the snail's extreme sensitivity. Cowper notes that even the slightest touch to these horns causes the creature to pull away. Cowper calls this self-collecting power. It is a psychological defense mechanism where the snail retracts into its private space the moment boundaries are crossed. In stanza 4, we find the snail living a hermit-like life. It has chattels, none, meaning it owns no personal belongings or movable property. Note the connection here. The snail's physical behavior reflects the human desire for privacy, emotional boundaries, and finding true peace in solitude. Because the snail is well satisfied to be its own whole treasure, it needs nothing from the outside world to feel complete. Cowper uses this lack of possessions to show us a model of absolute independence and self-respect. The final stanza issues a challenge to the reader. Cowper claims that anyone who finds the house but fails to find its master is worse than blind. As we see here, the shell is the site of a sentient, controlling master. Cowper's point is that the person and their protective boundaries are one and the same. For your exam summary, ensure you include these 3 pillars: independence, self-respect, and contentment. Cowper concludes that just as the snail is fused to its shell, an individual is inseparable from their own self-respect. You have now successfully translated Cowper's observations of a garden creature into a specific framework for human resilience. Use the 3 pillars we just discussed to write out your final poem summary in your notebook right now. If you have questions about specific lines, drop them in the comments with your name, class, and section for a direct follow-up. Mastering this text provides you with both a high exam score and a lifelong blueprint for self-reliance. Like and subscribe for our next literature break.